Hello, and you're very welcome to the JMac podcast. I'm John Man. Of course, this podcast brought to you by Orgorich.com and Atak.ie. Use road code JMac podcast to get 15% off on Orgorich.com. Get the best skins, gloves, on Atak.ie. Be attack minded. And today I'm joined by Aidan McCarron. Obviously, Aidan's currently managing and coaching the Dromard senior footballers there in Longford. So, really looking forward to chatting to Aidan about the 2022 football season. Obviously, the PWC All Star football nominations were put up today. So, we'll run through that and we'll have a bit of crack about it banter for the next while. How are you keeping, man?
Aye, all's good. Hey, can't complain. Sure, it's been a hectic year. It's been good. Football wise and at home. We baby girl just before Christmas, which was number 2. So she's 9 months now. So you're kind of looking at the calendar, seeing what fixtures are coming up and who you're playing next and things like that. And at the same time, you know, from the corner of your eye, your children's growing. So it's all go, but great times.
Yeah, I've been looking at your Instagram and your Facebook. You've got a few nice trips away, well deserved, no doubt.
Yeah, sure. Listen, it's a kind of wee philosophy where you make memories and don't worry about materials. You know, I think that's the important thing when you've kids. Like, so you just want to try and give them as good as experiences as possible.
Beautiful stuff. Nice wee motto to live by, my man. Obviously, yeah, so news today, obviously, the PWC All-Star Football nominations, Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year nominations were put up today. So, obviously, I will bang through the list and we can have a quick chat about them. Obviously, in goalkeepers, nominations were Ethan Rafferty, Armagh, Shane Ryan and Evan Comerford. So, I suppose we could start on the goalies, Wylie. What are we thinking?
Listen, your Ryan's probably going to get the nod on that. The one thing I would say, Ethan Rafferty seems to have been, you know, at the forefront of revolutionising this position. Like, you know, it's gone are the days now where your keeper just solely was a goalkeeper. It seems to be now, you know, the sweeper keeper or the extra player or the pivot, whatever it is that the coaches and managers are calling it. And geez, Ethan Rafferty's been to the fore in that the year. And I seen him against Tyrone, you know, he was excellent at it, like, and, you know, driving forward and kicking points. Like, it's, you know, it seems to be now that maybe at the top level, managers and coaches are going for someone in goals that isn't necessarily a good shot stopper. Maybe if they can deal with a high ball, but they're kicking and what they can contribute when their team's in possession seems to be the big thing that they're looking at nowadays. But you would think Ryan will get the nod there, but you know, Ethan has definitely been to the forefront in changing that position, like changing your outlook on it.
Yeah, he has kind of inspired obviously a lot of keepers around Ireland. Obviously Niall Morgan, Rory Becking kind of really got the outfield kind of keeper role going last year. So if you were to call it, it probably would be Shane Ryan, seeing as Kerry did get to the All Ireland, but Rafferty will have a big say, no doubt.
Yeah, the only thing is, but hey, every club keeper in the country now thinks they can be Ethan Rafferty, and
true enough.
That's the problem, you know. So there's a catch-22 situation there. If you're doing a bit of conditioning at training and keepers say that I'm going to go and hit kick-outs here, you can say to them, if you want to play sweeper keeper, you have to do the conditioning work, sir.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good now, but it's changing the face of it, you know. And that's football in general. It's changing, you know. It moves in different times, like.
I suppose, and what's your take on that as well? Obviously, even with Dromard and kind of coaching the last couple of teams, like if you do see a keeper going up and like obviously maybe to take it upon themselves, like are you kind of hard to attack central mode, or you can go on ahead and do it, or what's your verdict on all
that? Being honest, I would never put a restriction on lads. Like, you know, you give them the key points that they need to focus on, but by all means, if someone thinks that they can add something to our attack or defensively to us by, you know, picking up a certain position, then you're all on for it, and you want players to express themselves. But there's a thin line in expressing yourself and being, you know, kamikaze, and you know, you have to get that balance right. Fortunately for us, we haven't went too gung-ho in situations like that. So we try and keep it as stable. But listen, by all means, if we're coming out with the ball and the goalkeeper can add something to it, then by all means we're expecting them to get involved in the play. Like.
Yeah, no, just interested to get your take on that as well. Obviously, it's a risk.
I think it's situational, isn't it? It depends.
Yeah.
How good they are and what you have available, you know.
So what you're kind of telling me is Stephen Cluxton moved down to Dromard a few years' time.
And I'd have to go with Ollie. Keep Ollie.
Yeah, get him down. Maybe the Bull Masterson might have a few contacts to get him down. And we will move on to the defender end of things. We've Jason Foley from Kerry, Tyke Murray Kerry, Brian O'Piglock, Kerry. This is probably getting a bit anonymous, but here we go. Graham O'Sullivan Kerry, Tom O'Sullivan Kerry, Gavin White Kerry, Liam Silk Galway, Sean Kelly Galway, John Daly Galway, Chris McKay Derry, Conor McCluskey Derry, Brendan Rogers Derry, James McCarthy Dublin. There you go. There's the first Dublin shoe-in. Lee Gannon Dublin. Oh, of course, Mr. Comfort was goalie. Lee Keegan Mayo, Jericho Boko Burns, Armagh, Sean Powder Cork, Keane Sheehan Limerick. What are we thinking? I know there's a lot of names there. Wylie probably to get through a lot, but what are we thinking for that back line? Lock Kerry, Lock Pew Galway.
You're probably looking at maybe four of the Kerry lads. Probably one of the Galway lads might sneak in, and I actually think that maybe Chrissy McCaig or Brendan Rogers in there.
Rogers was sensational, yeah.
Yeah. Especially in Ulster, Rogers. Like you think back to the game, like he kicked 3 points from play of Michael Murphy, and was going as hard in the last extra time as he was at the start of the game, like. So, but listen, hey, it's a who's who of Rolls Royce defenders and that. Like it's nearly impossible to pick.
Yeah, no, it'll
but
be very yeah.
Listen, I think Sean Kelly had a very steady year for Galway. And he's I've really liked. I think he's a good leader for them. And interestingly, I know like in the Sigerson Cup this year, he actually played a sweeper in front of Clifford. When his colleagues played, Limerick, and actually seemed to do better in that than he did in the role of actually maybe picking him up, so maybe that was something that maybe got away from Galway in the final, like.
Yeah, they kind of took one for the team to a degree, but obviously carried a lot of attacking power that day, and I suppose obviously like a lot of them Kerry lads definitely will be shoe-ins, make no doubt about it. Thomas Sullivan just had a brilliant year altogether, and
Thomas Sullivan was excellent, like just unbelievable, like. I said there at the start, like if you've Rolls Royces there of defenders, like, and again, some of them lads that just love defending, but now like the modern
attack too.
Going the other way, like we're talking about Brendan Rogers there, does man-to-man jobs, and then he'll pop up and kick you points.
Yeah, and obviously the three Derry lads have been obviously from an Ulster side of things. Chrissy McKay, Conor McCluskey, Brendan Rogers, like the three boys have brilliant years, and obviously Chrissy's probably getting well overdue respect for being the footballer he is. He's probably one of the best man markers in the game at the minute. He just takes to every role accordingly, Wylie, so he'll definitely not be far away himself.
No, definitely not. Listen, Chrissy for years has been up here in Ulster. Like he's been one of the best man-to-man markers there's been. And I suppose probably when you look back in Derry's history, like they've always been able to produce, outstanding man-to-man markers. Even you think back to the teams in the early 90s, and McKeever, a cornerback, and players like that, and what they've developed into the modern day. Like so, Chrissy's rightly so getting his plaudits that he deserves for years, like. He's
one of the great defenders in the game at the minute, and obviously there's probably going to be a bit of debate about what Dublin impact, but obviously James McCarthy, Lee Gannon have got in as nominations. Wylie, I suppose, deserved.
Yeah, sure. Listen, McCarthy's he's been there, he's done it, he wore the t-shirt, like, so I don't think you can argue with them lads getting included in the nominations. Whether or not they get into the starting team remains to be seen. I don't think personally they will, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, probably the way these things could be picked, as Kevin McGurdy said a few weeks ago, the Dublin Central Press. So we will wait and see in a couple of weeks' time. And what else do we have? Obviously, Lee Keegan getting in, no surprise there. He's a one-man show for Mayo, and obviously we'll touch on the managerial appointments in the next couple of minutes. Wylie, but Lee Keegan says more.
Sure.
Really. Yeah.
Listen, Jesus, again, like talk about someone that. A Rolls Royce, like he can do the man-to-man jobs. He can drive you forward. He can kick points at big stages. And when you look back at big games for Mayo over the years, like any of the big moments I've been involved in, like Lee Keegan's been central to that. Like, and geez, he's just been an outstanding talent, and he's a player that I really enjoy watching. Like, and you know, you just, he's a player for me that would take me to a Mayo game, and quite often you don't say that about the players, you know. But like I if Mayo were playing, I would sit down just solely or go to the game to watch Lee Keegan. Like, I think he's just exceptional. Like.
Yeah, he just brings the noise all the time. He's just a relentless man, make no doubt about it. Obviously, the year Armagh had as well. Jarlath Burns, obviously son of the great Jarlath Burns. Armagh obviously did have a great year. Wylie, so definitely worth a nominee.
I definitely, and you know, the interesting thing about Oak Burns, like he was probably bouncing around the panel for a few years there as kind of a midfielder, half forward, and wasn't really like maybe getting a command in his place on it. No, and it seems to be since the geezers moved him to half back, he's just come into a different level on his own. And again, he's another player that was outstanding. And you know, I've seen him again a few times up in Ulster, and he's a top player, like, and you know, has it all.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. And he, a chip of the old block, I would say. I just think he was brilliant for Armagh all year. He led the charge when the chips were down for Armagh, so he's definitely worth a nominee. Midfielders, Wylie, obviously Paul Connery from Galway, Killian McDade from Galway, Conor Glass-Derry, Gareth McGuinness, Derry, Brian Fenton, Dublin, Jack Barry, Kerry. What are we thinking?
McDade's a shoo-in, an absolute shoo-in. He's for me, you know, we'll probably chat about it later on, but he's probably unfortunate because Clifford will likely get Player of the Year, and it's hard to argue about. But geez, McDade's had some year for Galway, like, absolutely unbelievable. You know, he's been a real leader for them. Like, and you know, in big games, he's kicked points from play, and he's stood up in big moments and got good defensive blocks and good defensive turnovers in. And his energy and athleticism, like, is just, you know. You keep thinking there. We thought for a long time that the likes, you know, when we'd seen Brian Fenton, you know, in his plum, we'd never see the likes of McGeehan, and then the likes of McDade just comes in, and just, you know, this year he's been massive for them. Like, who partners him? Ian, it could be anyone. Could be absolutely anyone.
Yeah, I suppose obviously Brian Fenton has been nominated, but like, of course, everyone watches Dublin really closely the last couple of years. Like, everything to do, everyone watches them closely. But I really do feel Fenton, like, he was. Has he hit the heights since Jim Gavin's left?
No, he wasn't. He didn't hit the heights of Brian Fenton of a few other years now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
probably a victim of his own standards and his own success that we're sitting here and seeing that, but. I was surprised at that one when it was mentioned. You know, I was actually really surprised at it. Like, Dublin got relegated, and you know, they didn't set the world alight in the championship either, and it's hard to see him meriting his nominee this year, whereas other years he was an absolute shoo-in. That's just my opinion on it. Other people are probably watching this and they'll be saying that man. So, but that's just my opinion on it. You know, he's probably been nominated this year because of what he's done in other seasons.
Bit flawed.
A bit flawed, yeah. But sure, again, it's Dublin, so it is what it is.
Oh God, yeah, it's an unfair world we get live in at times, Wylie. And yeah, again, who partners them, as you rightly said, it could be anyone. Obviously, Gareth McGuinness from Derry had a great year. Jack Barry, I suppose, but Killian McDade will definitely get one. But I suppose Jack Barry.
It probably will go, because you would imagine that Kerry will get maybe 8 All-Stars in that bracket. Normally the winners get that, so I'd say. I don't know how many years that the All-Ireland champions hasn't had a midfielder in it, so I would imagine that it will be them two in the centre of the park. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Bad midfield pairing.
Oh God, yeah. Geez, you wouldn't mind coaching them.
The both of them could be playing for Kilmacud Crooks together next year.
The way things are going, my man, anything is possible. And obviously, Shane Walsh making his debut on Sunday. Yeah. Seeing him on the bench was a scary sight for a lot of counties, clubs even. And what a man to bring on. I get your take on that now in a couple of minutes as well. There'll be a lot of talking points after this. Now, this is where it gets juicy. This is where lads fall out. Forwards: Dave Clifford, Sean O'Shea, Paddy Clifford, Stephen O'Brien, Shane Walsh, Damien Comer, Robert Finnerty, Rian O'Neill, Stephen Campbell, Rory Grogan, Kieran Kilkenny, Conor Callan, Shane McGuigan, Ethan Doherty, Ben McCormick, Owen Cleary, Stephen Sherlock, Jack McCarron. You would be a brave man to pick this full forward line and half forward line.
Man, but I'll give you 4 anyway.
Yeah.
I'll give you the 2 Cliffords.
Yeah.
Donny O'Shea.
Yeah.
And Ian Walsh.
Okay. Yeah, they probably picked themselves.
They're 4 certs, and then the other 2 is
Ryan O'Neill, maybe.
Yeah. Funny, I seen an interesting stat in that. Ryan O'Neill, I think, was outstanding. He got, what was it? I think somewhere that he'd only maybe 4 or 5 points from play in the whole championship all year, you know. Okay, so I'm not sure that is, but again, he's probably going up against other, like you look at Shane McGuigan, what he would have racked up. It's going to be interesting, you know, but sometimes it just be these players that be the darling buds of the media. If the right way to use it, and it seems to spring them forward in certain things, and that's life in general. But I think them 4 that are named are certs, and then the other 2 is, there's argument for everyone else into the other 2 spots, but them 4, the 3 Kerry lads and Shane Walsh are absolute certs for me.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting who completes that. Obviously, if the forward Conor Callan showed in a few games that he did play, you could maybe make the argument of the opposition, but he did score a lot of points, and obviously like Shane,
100%. Like probably, Shane McGuigan tore Ulster apart. He really lit Ulster up here, like, and I would probably be thinking that he might get one of the last 2 positions. He probably maybe didn't have the games and the big game in Croke Park in the semi-final that would have guaranteed him one, but I think what I've seen, he would have done enough to get in there for an All-Star, surely.
You said Damien Comer, didn't you?
No, Walsh.
Okay.
Johnny O'Shea.
Yeah, I'd say Comer probably will get one.
Comer probably get 2, and then it's I think maybe mine would be McGuigan, like. Yeah,
McGuigan. Yeah, God, that forward line will be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing who gets what in that regard. Obviously, Soupy Campbell.
Doesn't it just show the talent that there is out there?
Blessed, absolutely blessed. And
like like I'm 40 this year. Like when we were back playing, like if you kicked the odd point off your weaker foot, you thought it was brilliant. Like now, no such thing as a weaker foot, and that's and they're just absolute, just machines. Hey, and there's the score and power and the ability that these boys have, the pace and the physique, and mental strength too. Which is unlocked. Like like Shane was there, for example. Like he's kicking threes off both feet in Croke Park. Like, it's unbelievable. Like some of the threes he's taking with his weaker foot that lads wouldn't take on in a training match. Like
not a chance.
You know what I mean? He's doing it to a worldwide audience, and Croke Park, and even in the Derry game when he wasn't having his best game, he nailed his threes at crucial. Like, and that's like you talk about. You can have all the ability and all the work done tactically and the strength work and everything that goes with it, but if the players don't have that mental strength to deal with that situation, then it's tough. Like.
And obviously we'll touch on Clifford v Walsh in the All-Ireland final in a few minutes, but God, you're absolutely bang on. It was a joy to behold. On a kind of notable mentions, I think Soupy Campbell from Armagh had a really good year as well. I think he was brilliant. Rory Grugan, we know about his left foot.
Soupy absolutely destroyed Tyrone in the athletic ground that day. Absolutely destroyed. Played from number 11, deep 11, and Tyrone left him free most of the game, and the damage he was doing coming forward and getting on the ball and the third man runs we couldn't handle it, and that was the reason Armagh got over, give us that pace in that day.
Again, like it's so hard to know how to depict these things. Is it like the All Ireland series? Is it the provincial? These are questions we need answering to.
Yeah, well, I think the All Stars are always league and championship, aren't they? But I think the Cup ones are just the actual cup competition. League doesn't come into bearing on it.
Okay. Yeah, is there any Talton Cup All Stars, or is there any?
I think there is. I think there is.
Okay.
I think there is. only judged on the actual games in the competition, so your league form count on it. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I don't know, did you see the off the ball boys or Paddy Andrews and I think was it Paddy Andrews and James Dunn who picked theirs, and yeah, the bit of research could have been required, I suppose, because there was a couple of questionable decisions to say the least. I'm not gonna.
I think they were claiming Gavin boys were looking 15.
Well, McCarron had all the 15 lads, but no, there was definitely a couple of maybe I think a few lads with their names got in, but no, there was a few definitely lads. I think just like Jason McLaughlin, Jerry Smith. But look, it's all debate, my man. It's all debate.
Yeah. Hey, that's the beauty of football, you know.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And obviously, so a couple of other notable, Owen Cleary from Clare, Stephen Sherlock Cork, but them boys a great year, Jack McCarron from Monaghan and all. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward. Yeah.
Jack McCarron's probably had his best year in championship football. The season gone by there. Like there's other seasons, other seasons where he's had fantastic league campaigns. For whatever reason, he hasn't been able to replicate it in the Ulster Championship and beyond. But this year, you know, when Manzi was probably tipping the other way, you know, and maybe just wasn't as effective as what he has been for Monaghan. Jack McCarron really stood up for them, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I think he was brilliant. I think Monaghan, obviously, again, we'll touch on that in a few minutes, the problem going on in Monaghan at the minute, but Jack McCarron will need to be top of the pops next year if Conor McManus or any of the boys decide to step away. But obviously, probably picks itself. But the PwC GAA GPR Football of the Year, 3 nominees, obviously Mr. Clifford David, Killian McDade, and Shane Walsh. But you said off air to me, you have an interesting pick for this one.
I would have McDade. McDade would be my player of the year now. Again, people would probably look and say that I'm absolutely mad. Like, and you know, you can't argue with Clifford. I think he will get it, and you know, if Walsh got it, you couldn't argue with that. But I just think for his overall performances and just what he was to the team, I think McDade was just outstanding for Galway. Like, Jesus, again, you know, one of them players where you would travel the length of Ireland just to see in full flight, like. You know, but hard to argue with Clifford, or you know. So, but I mean, hey, again, like, geez, 3 exceptional nominees, like.
Yeah, and obviously 3 unbelievable, probably the best nominees we've, like, obviously every year the footballers unbelievable. I think these 3 gents had unbelievable years now for their respective counties, but obviously, you know, you can't really get away from the idea of David Clifford getting this, and you know, this man could dominate it for the next few years. Oh
man, sure. What is it? Is he 4 also? This could be his 4th All-Star, is it? At the tender age, like, oh man, he's just the Messi of GAA, like, and he's just outstanding, and just the people look at him and they say the natural ability, you know, but like that man as a child and growing up never left the pitch, kicking left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Yeah. Just that many hours and years of practice that it looks natural, but you know, for any young lad like growing up that's a forward or even a midfielder, geez, there's not 3 better role models to model yourself on than them boys.
No, definitely not. And I suppose we're probably both in agreement, since I suppose the whole country is David Clifford.
Yeah, I would imagine it'll be Clifford, but I would, just from my own point of view, it's just something in McDade that I love watching in full flow. I think he's an outstanding player, as the other 2 are, you know. So
yeah, and it's funny, like, there'll be a big debate for Shane Walsh to get it too. So
I actually thought Shane Walsh should have got man of the match in the final.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying as well. Yeah.
But again, not often does someone from the losing side get man of the match, and definitely not in a final, you know. So.
Yeah, no, obviously Kerry got over the line, you see, so whoever wins, I suppose, and then obviously David was instrumental in that game once again, and obviously the PwC GAA GPR Young Footballer of the Year, obviously Lee Gann and Ethan Doherty and Jack Glynn, and I suppose probably looking at Jack Glynn for this one, I'd say.
You're probably looking at Glynn, yeah, but like, again, like, from an Ulster viewpoint, Doherty had an outstanding year too, like, you know. He had an outstanding year. He took the best on up here, and you know, come out on top in every game, like, but yeah, you're probably looking at Glynn, like, but again, hey, what talent, what quality there is in that young player of the year, like.
Yeah, three sensational players, and yeah, but I'm presuming they'll give it to Mr. Glynn, but it will be very interesting to see. Obviously, Gannon had a great year for Dublin as well. But
yeah. Again, they're all there and deservedly so. It's just it's in situations, I guess it's just a pity that goes to one, isn't it?
Yeah, Jesus, 100%. No, but I'm looking forward to that night now. Soon enough, it'll be interesting to see who gets one, as the man says. But I suppose, obviously, your thoughts on the 2022 Football All-Ireland Championship, Wylie. What I was talking to you, obviously, a couple of months ago, and we were probably just in the middle of the league at that stage. But what was your general thoughts?
Probably, first of all, from a Tyrone point of view, it would have been disappointing. We probably went out with a whimper. Never really hit form at all. Probably always feared the Derry game, just that just All Ireland hangover. But I actually thought then that the Armagh game on the Athletic Ground was the draw that Tyrone needed to kickstart the season. And it just didn't happen. Tyrone got a goal in the first 2 minutes, and you thought, this is what we want now. This is it. But just flattered to deceive this year, and it was just disappointing from that point of view. But I suppose up in Ulster, you had the emergence of Derry, who were outstanding. And Derry won an Ulster title, and they took all the top teams on and devoured them on the way to it. So you have to give them massive credit. Again, probably the emergence of Galway coming through, and you're hoping now that maybe Galway can dine at the top table for a while and really make an impact. Mayo situation, you're looking like, has this Mayo team missed all their chances now? What will McStay bring to the board when he's there? Donegal went out with a bit of a whimper too. Who's going to get in there? What's going to happen? Obviously, down below, Kerry just go from strength to strength, and is Dublin going to be back, as a force? They got relegated last year. We looked at them this year. You thought there was glimpses of it in the championship. Ultimately, just hadn't enough. But sure, listen, it was, when you look at the likes of Derry, were probably the story of the championship up in Ulster. Galway, down in Connacht, and then sure, the Kingdom wrapping it all up in the end. It was probably what people were maybe tipping at the start of the year, that it was going to be Kerry's year, and you just wondered if that Kerry team could get over the line, and ultimately they did.
Yeah, no, it was obviously Kerry's year, so it was, and obviously, as you rightly said, their teams are really kind of coming up through the trenches, and obviously Dublin have dramatically kind of came back to the pack, and obviously, the saying is that, if they had Conor Callan in that semi-final, it could have been a different story. So just goes to show, kind of came their way. But it is great to see the emergence of the likes of Derry, Armagh, Galway, Kerry. It's good to have a competitive championship again.
Oh, 100%. It's great. I forgot about Armagh. The emergence of them this year too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
From both of our point of views.
Probably the thing about Armagh was probably the team out of all the teams that we've mentioned there that were suited most to Croke Park, because of the way they like to kick the ball early and get it up, and then the big boys inside. But yeah, Ulster, from an Ulster viewpoint, it's seriously strong up here at the minute. How competitive it is. Again, maybe this year the top teams in Ulster were maybe a wee bit off the top teams everywhere else, but for consistency and a level across the board, Ulster competitiveness was probably a way ahead.
Yeah, and obviously it is great to kind of have such a competitive championship again, and obviously Ulster is going to be remarkable next year. Really, I know obviously Donegal and Monaghan are still looking for managers, but you'd be a brave man to call who's going to win that next year.
Oh man, it's a minefield. It's an absolute minefield. You could nearly bet that everybody's going to know for Derry, because they've won it. You could near bet that it's going to be very hard for them to retain it. If anyone can get that siege mentality and push them to that level, it's Rory. But it'll be a big task for them to retain it, because just how hard it is up in Ulster. Maybe what's going to happen with the likes of Monaghan, off Donegal, who's going to come in there, what sort of kick they're going to get from it. What's the story with Tyrone now, obviously, with the likes of McKenna going back to Australia, the lads Slane Connell, who from the under-20s can come in, not just to the panel, but who can come in and make an impact is what's needed. So, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I suppose obviously Derry did come out and top in Ulster, and I was talking to Cahir O'Kane yesterday, and he was just saying that, you know, no better man than Rory to be leading the ship. He just, I think we all can see he's an exceptional man. He just lives and breathes football, probably like everyone, but he just looks like he's a completely different outlook on it. But look, I suppose Derry, they were kingpins in Ulster this year.
Yeah, worthy by, you know, and Derry were outstanding to watch most of the year, you know, and you look at, you know, how they defend together and how they attack together. And Rory would always, if he's lazy tabloid stuff, Rory would be always labelled as, you know, pure negative coach. Like, I don't know if many teams in Ireland scored anywhere near the goal Derry got the year in the campaign, and you know how they got runners to the end line, and you know they were in exceptional condition. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, that's 3 years now he's been there. It'll be interesting to see there what the fourth year brings. Like, can they make that step to the next level and compete
forwards? Yeah, just maybe inherit a few forwards, maybe, or I think that'll be the end product up front. Maybe, you know, obviously they have great forwards up front, but I think that's maybe a tad bit what they're lacking compared to the likes of the Kerrys and Galway.
Yeah, you look at them like, and they've got fantastic man markers, and they've got, you know, they're a powerful big team, and club football in Derry is tough stuff. Like, it's as tough a football as you would get for, like, so they have got that physical toughness that's needed, obviously, to win things. So yeah, it'll be really, really looking forward to seeing how Derry kick on after this, you know. And Armagh, obviously, can they replicate it again and go that little bit, you know, beyond where they got this year?
Yeah, I suppose as Niall McCoy was saying to me yesterday that, you know, McGeaney probably, like, of course an Ulster title would be great, but then he really does look like he probably has eyes on an All-Ireland, because I think he has aspirations to obviously win an All-Ireland as a player, manager, but look, he'll need to get the Anchor Cup first. But I suppose Armagh as well, Wylie, they did kind of come up through the trenches, as the man says, and obviously Kieran McKeever will be staying put for another year, so they're in a safe place at the minute.
Yeah. Oh, they're in a very safe place. Like, they're in a very, very safe place. Like, I, being honest, you know, he might worry for up in Ulster, and not really worry as to say, but the team you'd probably concerned of maybe dropping below the level is Monaghan. You know, I think they've an aging squad, and you know they seem to be, for whatever reason, they can't get the manager they want. You hear stories that someone's about to be appointed, the whole process starts again. So wonder what's going on there. So it'll be interesting for them. Like, Monaghan's punching at the top table for the best part of over a decade now, and you know, how long can they keep that going with this group of players?
Yeah, you know, that's just kind of thinking. Obviously, we kind of have seen in recent weeks that Jared Brennan was listed for the job last week, and that didn't work out. And then obviously Jason Sherlock was heavily linked. That didn't work out. So we're in the middle of club championship. Yeah,
Brendan Hackett was heavily linked, and he was to be offered it, and then it's through. So listen, you hear a lie, tell a lie, but it just seems to be very strange that the process is still ongoing. Like a lot of minute.
Yeah, and obviously it wouldn't be a bad project, obviously, if you did take them on and Joe Bone, because you could at least try to get one more year out of the likes of McManus and Hugh Wylie and, you know, the two Hughes brothers. But yeah, it's very weird that there's no white smoke. And obviously Banty did step down 2+ months ago at this stage, so now time is probably run out. And then obviously Donegal point of view, no white smoke over there. Rory Kavanagh, Malky O'Rourke, heavily linked to that job, fell through as well. What's going on, Wylie?
I don't know. It seems to be strange. You know, obviously Rory Kavanagh was heavily linked, and he won a championship last year with St Junans. Strange that at this stage someone like Donegal still haven't got a man in place. They obviously, I'm sure, you know, spoke with Mal by all accounts, and I'm not sure what happened there, but it seems to be that they couldn't get that done. Charles Lacey, I heard, was mentioned too, and he's well regarded there, but you know, it hasn't worked out. It seems to be the only one that has consistently kept his name in is the minor manager, Barrett. Okay. So listen, it's strange, similar to the Monaghan one, you know, where Barrett had kept his name in, and it seemed to be, for whatever reason, you know, the county boards weren't prepared to take on them, which is strange too, because, you know, we remember the Donegal County Board weren't prepared to take a punt on Jim McGuinness until he applied for third or the fourth time.
Yeah.
You know, it's strange what's going on now. It's strange what's definitely going on in them counties, like.
Yeah, and it's probably ironic as well, obviously, because Jim McGuinness, the success that he did have with the Donegal lads in the end, and now they're crying out for a manager. So it's weird. Yeah, and yeah. But I suppose I suppose this is a big talk point. Has been obviously we have seen the likes of Billy Lee step away from Westmeath, Jack Cooney step away from Westmeath, Billy Lee step away from Limerick even. But like, it is a boiling down to, like, I know obviously you're managing Jamar at the minute, but like it is probably very much time consuming when you are over a county team.
It's to be serious. Like, I've been involved in a few. Definitely, like, I'm at the stage where the club to me now is what county level was maybe 10, 12 years ago. Like, I'm probably lucky in Dromore because Sean Hagan actually manages. So I'm his number two. Him working on all the football coaching. So he deals with all the stuff, with the players and all the stuff off the field. So I'm able to coach in the gym and coach on the pitch. So it gives you that freedom, and I don't be too bothered, too much bothered with phone calls or organizing things and food after training, things like that, making sure pitches are available. I think at county level, it's a full-time job. Like, it really is. I remember chatting to Paddy Talley after he stepped away from the Down job, and he reckoned that it was 50 hours a week probably doing with Down. And I remember asking him and asked how much of that was actually football related and how much was something else, and he said about 35 hours of that was other things and about 15 in football. So it just shows what's going on. I think that's probably what reflecting and why there's so many turnover of managers. Like, my hat goes off to anyone that's involved working with county teams that have, young children. And maybe it's definitely, whatever you're giving to that, you're going to lose somewhere else. So if people can get that balance, young families, they're mighty people.
I suppose, Wylie, how sustainable is it all? Because obviously, we've seen Paddy Talley had to take a career break, even to coach the Kerry lads. So that just kind of probably tells its own story. So obviously, Billy Lee doing great work with Limerick had to step away. Obviously, as I've referenced, Jack Cooney from Westmeath. Like, how sustainable is all this?
I don't know is the question, or I don't know is the answer to your question, Sean, because to me it can't be sustainable, like, for to have balance in your life and to avoid burnout and things like that. I don't know how much it can be, and can be your full-time job and that, but how sustainable is any full-time job if you're working 60, 70 hours a week, and something's got to give somewhere for that to happen. So I think it's reflecting how we're seeing the turnover of so year in, year out, and not even managers, even backroom teams, why even some managers that stay in place, why they're always in the hunt for members of a backroom team to come in, because lads in the backroom, they're working maybe 30, 40 hours a week on top of a full-time job, on top of having a family. Maybe heading away to the National League game down in Kerry or Cork, we are away all weekend. You leave work at lunchtime on Friday to travel down, you're back on the Sunday night, not seeing the family, and you're back to start losing maybe the enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
But even yourself now, like, your club at the minute, you're talking like, to maybe two sessions a week. Maybe there's an S&C session, there could be a recovery session, there could be a game and that. Yeah, like, a club now can be anything from 3 nights to 6 times a week, like.
Yeah. No, it's a bit crazy when you do, even if you are successful with the county, you do have to step away. So it just goes to show where we're at, and maybe that's why Donegal and Monaghan maybe are struggling to get lads, and apparently geographically Donegal is a bit difficult for a lot of lads to come in. So just does go to show.
Funny one, like, even when I was in Kilcar there, like, you're talking a 3-hour round trip was for me, like, when I had been working in Kilcar for the 2.5 years that I was there. So say if we were training at 8 o'clock, like, I was away at 5:30, you'd be there at 7 to get setting up and that, and then you make me home at 12 o'clock that night. So you're talking 6-7 hours every time you went, and then match day could have been longer, obviously. So that geographically for Donegal, that could be the issue, for a lot of managers wanting to put their name in there.
I suppose it kind of refers back to the point as well during COVID. Maybe lads had different things on, or we even seen Pat Spillane late last Friday saying like during the COVID he's got emotions. So maybe a lot of people's mindsets have changed.
Yeah,
like, is the county game approach? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe I think maybe a lot of people are looking at it. It's time consuming as well, but maybe there's that bit more balance to the club game. And you look at Malachy and Ryan staying on with the Glen and Derry, and knocking back Donegal's advances by all rumours. So maybe they've found balance that they're happy now in the club game more than the county game.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like that. And obviously, your expertise will be definitely shown on the field. I suppose Colin O'Rourke with Meath's gone in there. Obviously, we touched on Kevin McStay, Mayo, Paddy Christie with Longford, Liam Cairns Offaly, Andy McEntee, Antrim, Billy Lee obviously has left Limerick, Jack Cooney gone from Westmeath, Monaghan and Donegal, still no white smoke, and Eamon Leper-Callan has gone in as a coach with the Carlow lads. So lots of moving around, Wylie.
Yeah, so what was that? I think there was 9 jobs available at one time out of possible 32, 33, 34 if you count New York and London, 34. So it's that probably tells us what we just spoke about there for the last few minutes.
Did Michael Maher leave London?
Yeah, I think so, actually. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was talking to him a couple of months ago. Okay, that's confirmed. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
But again, like it's time consuming. It's tough, and you're in the spotlight too a lot. Like it's the power of social media and that now. It's tough even off the field, and more so than what we were talking about there. Everyone's got an opinion. The keyboard warriors don't belong letting managers have it nowadays if things aren't going well. Like
no, you're absolutely bang on. Obviously, we've seen. I was just interested, obviously, from an Ulster point of view. Obviously, Andy McEntee's gone in with Antrim, and then he was off the ball a few months ago, even saying that he'd never go near another county. 1 week later, Mr. McEntee gets the Antrim job. Explain that to me, Mr. Wylie.
6 days later. 6 days later. But out of all the appointments, the most interesting one that I'm looking forward to is Oisin McConville at Wicklow.
Oh, of course, yeah, I forgot. Yes, yeah.
Really looking forward to that because I've heard a lot of good things up in Enniskeane about the work he's done there. And I know he said the reason that the Wicklow job was attractive to him was because they would be playing competition that he felt suited their level.
Okay.
He's looking forward to that. So that's refreshing to hear that someone as big a name in the game as Oisin McConville is going to cut his teeth now with the likes of Wicklow at county level. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, in fairness, like obviously from Oisin McConville, all the media work he does, BBC, the RTEs, the second captains, everything. In fairness, like from an outsider looking in, it looked like the perfect setup. So it's like anything else, fair play to him. I'm
just wondering how the Cross McGlen under 9s are gonna speaks a lot about their 9s. So
yeah.
Lads probably happy, but the rest of the under 9s might be a wee bit pointed.
Yeah, Jesus, it'll be revolts up now in Crossmaglen, making no doubt about it. And Colin O'Rourke on in with Meath after all these years. Wylie, just I suppose, like anything else, they're competing with big stuff in Leinster. I suppose just get a bit of pride back in the jersey.
Yeah, listen, it'll be interesting to see, because quite often when we're watching the pundits and you'd be wondering that they're experts, or they're called the experts, and you'd be wondering then, why don't they go and take teams and show then what they've done for years. And for a long time I was always saying the only pundit that consistently went and took teams and would do that would have been McStay. He went on up with Roscommon, Ireland club. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him at Mayo and seeing what he's probably in the process for the job for quite a while. It's probably happened maybe 10 years later than he would have thought it should have happened.
True enough. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. And the romance in your mind would tell you that McStay could be the one that wins them the All Ireland, but quite often football and romance don't mix.
No.
Very rarely the Hollywood end.
No, and obviously we've probably seen with Mayo the last couple of years, it's been more heartbreak than love. And I suppose obviously, Wylie, how's things for yourself at the minute? Obviously in the Longford Senior Football Championship with Jermard, and obviously you've played Mullinyock the last week. So how's things moving down there?
Yeah, moving well. We the way they do it in Longford, it's 2 groups of 6. So we won our first 3 games in our group, and we were guaranteed qualification, and we won the 4th game, which meant we were going to finish first or second in the group. And our last group game there was against Mullinyock at the weekend. We'd a few wee niggles and a few flus in the camp, so we decided that we would make wholesale changes for that game. We got a bit of a trouncing in it now, but no, we're all focused on the quarter final now. We play Kilo, I think it's Sunday the 18th in Pearse Park. So I mean, a massive challenge. Like Kilo's won 2 championships, I think it is, in the last 3 years.
Queen's Club, yeah.
Queen's Club, you know, and a fantastic footballer and fantastic leader for them, and a real nice fella. But that's going to be a massive task for us. But Jesus, it's one we're relishing to prepare for. Like Dromard there, I think we've won more games in league and championship this year than they have in the past 4 years put together. So there's been great progress. So, you know, we're at the business end of the season now. So we'll see where this progress is going to take us.
It's all down to the strength and conditioning, my man.
Well, like I'm very fortunate down there. Like Sean's the manager, hey, and you know he lets me run with the S&C work and the football coaching. You know, so you know quite often in managing setups, the football coach and the S&C coach be at loggerheads over getting allocated time or getting 20 minutes to do this or 30 minutes to do that. I just have to argue with myself. Very that, and you know of you know get a great relationship with the lads and that, and
yeah,
the older lads have been fantastic, and they've created a fantastic environment for the young lads that's come into the panel this year and come into to express themselves and flourish. And so far it's been good, but you know we're under no illusion of the challenge we'll have in Kilo, and you know you get over Kilo, you're Mullinyock or Abbey Lara in the semi-final. So really, you know, we won four games in the group and no real reward. We've been off side of the draw, so there's no reward for that. So but yeah, it's exciting times, and sure when you're knockout championship football, there's better like.
Arguing with yourself, it's like arguing with a woman, man. There's only one winner.
It's good to know, because it's nice too. Now, don't get me wrong, like we were talking about there, it's time consuming because you're doing 2 roles within a setup, and you know you're number 2, you're Sean's confident in match days and team selection and that. But it's a role I really like. You know, I like doing the both. It keeps everything fresh. Sometimes if you're just doing pitch or if you're just doing the S&C, you know it gets a wee bit mundane. But I feel doing both and that it keeps it fresh, and the lads probably are sick and tired of listening to me because sentence. But as of yet, there's been no complaints, so we'll keep rolling with it.
Brilliant stuff. And I suppose, are you enjoying it? Obviously, we did touch a couple of minutes ago about the commitment of management these days. Like, how many nights a week is it? Like, are you finding the time to balance stuff? Yeah.
I love it, being honest. You know, probably for me, like I had actually planned on doing absolutely nothing this year when you know number 2 was born just before Christmas. Grace was born, and her and Oisín, you know, two handfuls like any 3-year-old and 9-month-old is. But Kilcar, as I said, was a 3-hour round trip, and it was just probably at the very end, you know, when we lost the semi-final of the championship and I stepped down, I was already drained, if you get me. You know, it was tight going. But you know, Dromard is like 40 minutes up the road for me. It's, you know, it's at least half of what I was doing. So I find it, because you've been exposed to how tough it was maybe in the fall. I find this brilliant. Like, and they're a fantastic club, and you know they're football mad. Like it's a rural area, and you know there's football and farming and mass, and that's the order it comes in, you know. And they're great people, hey, and they've really rode in behind the team this season. So let's see where it takes us.
Brilliant stuff, and the best luck with everything. I suppose last question, Wylie. Do you feel, I probably asked you this a couple of months ago, but now is the game in a good place? Like, are you enjoying watching the game at the minute?
Yeah. I think there's no better time to be a footballer. First and foremost, for all that goes with it, the doors that it opens for you. In society at the minute, recognition that some of them footballers are getting, you know, jobs wise, sponsorship and things like that. But, you know, geez, it's fantastic watch at the minute. The game, the skill levels of the game. All you have to do, if someone talks to you about football being better in days than it is now, I mean, all you have to do is look at the three lads. It's nominated player of the year and the skill level and the three lads produce. You know, it's never been seen before, I don't think, to this level.
I suppose, do you feel like the marketing is kind of good for these lads to kind of propel themselves all the time? I know David Clifford's not near social media, but like it's good. It's in a good place for them. Like they're like the right sponsorship deals, as you rightly said. So, you know, we have to just keep publicising them, and so it's wrapped up in cotton wool to a degree.
And why not? Like, you know, you look at the revenue that All-Ireland final would have brought in to Dublin alone. You know, hotels, merchandise, you know, the pubs, the shops, everything. Like, these players should be getting, you know, the rewards that they're getting at the minute. And, you know, there should be, you know, avenues opened up for these lads and sponsorship deals, because without the players, there's no game. You know, without the players at that level, there's no desire to go to games. Like, you know, I talked there about travelling in Ireland to watch Shane Walsh and McDavid play. Like, you know, that's I'm not the only one that says that. That's the realism of things. Like, so players be getting these high rewards that they're getting and the all-star trips and all that, you know, like, we have to reward it. Without them, we've nothing.
Yeah, definitely more of it. It's great to see, and hopefully the game can keep propelling itself. Well, that's all good, but unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about, or we're good enough, happy enough.
Who's going to win the Cavan Championship?
Oh, God help us.
Neck on
the line, my man. Neck on the line. Like, I suppose, being honest enough about this in the last couple of weeks, the standard hasn't been brilliant. I don't know how we got to any of the games, and I suppose maybe the format in the format in Cavan, I suppose you get your 4 games compared to other championships. You know, it's one game and gone. So I think maybe teams have kind of rested on their laurels a bit and maybe done really well for the first 2 games. So it's yet to ignite. But I think the quarterfinals, fingers crossed, should get it going. But at the minute, Cavan Gales are moving very well. I think the likes of Garode just is a one-man wrecking machine, get the ball to him. I think you're obviously a big fan of him. So it's looking like the Gales, my man. What
about the Intermediate Championship?
Well, I suppose Cardiff gone now, so there's no noose around my neck. Intermediate, I would be very surprised if Ballyhaise didn't win it. Castlerahan would like to win it, seeing as they went down last year. To be a good bit of pressure on them to win it this year, to get straight back up. But yeah, Ballyhaise gave us a lesson a few weeks ago. They looked really, really good. Kevin Tierney wasn't even playing and the like. So yeah, Ballyhaise, I think.
Two good sides, Ballyhaise and Castlerahan, but I'm gonna for that.
But who?
Cullens.
Cullens. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the junior championship, probably Arva, I'd be thinking.
Yeah, you're looking at Arva. You know, probably very unfortunate to lose the intermediate league title.
Yeah.
Morgan Penn, and you know, the fact they're playing junior, and you know, David Pettit from Ards actually managing them. So
yeah.
Hopefully Arva can get over the line there.
I know obviously I was talking to Martin Dunn at the start of the year about Whitram Lane, and they'll be mad to win it this year, but I just think Arva, the betters in the league semi-final a few weeks ago, and the likes of Conal Sheridan and Kieran the Holler Brady, and they're just brilliant players, brilliant lads. So yeah.
Talking about fantastic attacking ability, you know, Jesus, Arva have some high quality forwards for that level. Like.
Yeah. So they're definitely not a junior team. They'll put them as intermediate / senior if they can get all their lads playing. I know last year they got bet by Belturbed in the relegation playoff, but no, I think there's some absolute ballers, so they shouldn't be there at all. But yeah, I think they'll be getting over the line. And then I was Shane Walsh's transfer. What was the verdict on this before we jump?
Yeah, listen, sure. I suppose it's the traditionalists in the GAA world would be against it. It's every player's right, I suppose. The one thing I would have on it is that, you know, he mentioned about it prolonging his career and the travel back to Galway. I love Shane Walsh. I think he's a fantastic person, and I think he's an exceptional footballer. He didn't have much of an issue travelling back to Galway to train with the county and different things. So I'm not really buying that reason, you know, travelling back for the time, you know. I'm not really buying that. Probably the draw of the the bright lights in Dublin has probably got a hold of him like it has thousands of footballers.
Yeah.
So listen, good luck to them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to be playing Kilmacud in
Christ bless and save us. Yeah, you need a bit of a therapy session after even looking at them pair of boys. And like, could this potentially open up the floodgates? The likes of Shane Walsh transferring, like this could open a lot of lads' eyes up.
Yeah, well, listen, I think it's been going on for years, hasn't it? You know, it's especially the draw to Dublin has been going on for years. So there's players transferring in all the time. Shane Walsh is probably the biggest name in a while to do it, and especially just on the back of the Ireland final and you know, being the darling bud in Galway. You'd love to hear people from Galway's opinions on it. But listen, as I said at the start, every player's right to play where they want to play. And probably if he was maybe like I transferred from my club in Fintna to Enniskillen Yields, but my life was in Enniskillen. It was how I was going to be having a family there, setting down there. So for me, the best way to build friendships, lifelong friendships, was through the GAA. That's the reason I transferred. So
yeah.
If Shane was gonna stay in Dublin and do that, then brilliant. But I just felt that maybe the reason that he gave because of the travelling, a wee bit maybe hypocritical. But I would, you know, again, as I said, a great person and all the.
I'm just really glad it's parked at this stage too, because I suppose the media around it was a bit ridiculous. Yeah,
not fair, and a young lad either had been, and as we said earlier, you have a lot of keyboard warriors, you know, saying this and that, and I don't think that's fair in anyone. At the end of the day, it's football.
Yeah,
we love it, but you know, there's more important things in life, and win or lose, we're all going home to our families after the game, and I think they have to put that into perspective. Yeah,
I suppose he needs to look after his career in bits and pieces. So it's hard to blame him in many ways, but I suppose you do make a good point about the travel and all that. But look at the transfer, it's done and dusted, and Shane Wald,
One of the winners.
Yeah, big time. He's an outrageous talent. I tell you what, I probably will go to a game that Paul Mannion and both boys are playing. I think it'd be worth the admission fee alone. Wylie, I took enough of your time. You're an absolute gentleman. Thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, the podcast is brought to you by Atak.ie and Atak.ie. Use local JMac podcast to get 15% off on Atak.com. Get best gains club trip on Atak.ie. Be attack minded. Wylie, have a good one.
Cheers, lad. Take care.